What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols. This is our Riverhounds and Riveters Show, where we talk all things that are going on with the organization. Joining us this week is a man who has been instrumental, dating all the way back to the Dave Brandt era, making his way through the Bob Lilly success story that was bringing this team to where they are now, and now hoping to kick things off with the Rob Vincent revival. It's sporting director Dan Visser. Dan, how are you, my friend?
I'm well. It's a nice intro, by the way. I gotta comment on that. Was that here the last time I was on, or am I just
No, that's just no. Yeah.
That's no, it's nice.
Yeah. We heard that you've been battling some sickness. How are you feeling?
Feeling better? Yeah. Feels like I've been sick for a couple weeks, but like you kind of still hear it in my voice. I mean, I feel better, so that's good.
Good.
I mean, I'll say you even sound better than a couple days ago. So
yeah,
that's progress, man.
Yeah. I'm good.
Listen, we've been congratulating everyone on the championship win. So first of all, congrats. It's been a long time coming. Like I said, you've been with the organization for a while. Did you do anything to celebrate?
I mean, we had a fun time, like down in Tulsa. Kind of went out for some food right afterwards as an entire team, and then the staff got together at a nice steakhouse on Tuffy, which was a lot of fun as well. And the nice thing about an early game is that we were still in bed by like 10 p.m. So it was all good. But then by the time we landed, it was kind of let's figure out what's going on with a lot of things. So yeah, it was certainly fun. And then back to work.
Yeah. I mean, so it's been a little while, but because of everything that happened last season, you ended up assisting Rob and Bushy at the end of the season for those last 3 regular season games and throughout the playoffs on the sideline. So, I mean, kind of tell me, how was that? Like, do you miss it at all? What are your thoughts, like, as you look back on that and being able to like kind of be there on the sideline with the guys in a way that's different than what you've been doing for the majority of the past 2 years?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of fun to be back and kind of in the very much day-to-day in the locker room and some of those types of things. I was watching a lot of, tape in preparation. I felt like, some of what I wanted to do was to make sure that by, early in the week, I was able to have an intelligent conversation with Rob about the upcoming opponent. He was certainly watching a lot as well. So it's not that he needed me to tell him the things that we needed to do, but I think it's good for him to have a sounding board. And I didn't feel like I could do that without having, put in the time and effort myself to understand those upcoming opponents. So things like that, I think it was just a really good, really fun kind of collaborative effort between, you mentioned Rob and Bushy, but then certainly the training staff as well. Just kind of like, let's try to get this job done. And didn't really matter who got credit, and we just plowed ahead. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So when we talked to Rob, he said like kind of throughout that stretch, kind of one of the differences was like he didn't want to go talk to the fourth official. So sometimes he'd be like, look over at Bushy and be like, hey, Bushy, go say something or to say something to the other team. Did he ever tap you to do any of that?
Well, I think, obviously I spent 8 years on the sideline. So there's all kinds of, just whatever. I mean, I'll share the Hartford game. Luke Biasi takes a pretty mean tackle. I think it was on Michi and Galena early in that game. And Brendan Burke is a lively coach on the other sideline, somebody I have a lot of respect for, but sometimes you need to, make sure that you're fighting fire with fire. And Rob's pretty even keeled. I'm pretty even keeled. So, we tap Bushy on the shoulder to go fight fire with fire in that moment. So, yeah.
Obviously, it was a big decision to bring Rob back as the head coach, one that we're all really excited about. How did that decision go down from your standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a big decision regardless, but I think that it would have probably been a bigger decision or a less obvious decision had it not finished the way that it did. I think when it finished the way that it did, it's hard to really look in any other direction. But I mean, I was certainly preparing myself for hard conversations with what we were going to do next, really exploring who the coaches in our league are currently. A lot of the best coaches in our league are about Rob's age and took over with about his level of experience. Ben Pierman was, I think, 35 when he took over with 2 years of experience. That is exactly what Rob is. Luke Spencer in Tulsa is like, I think he's maybe only, I don't know, is he 32 now or 34? Like he's younger than Rob and had 1 year as an assistant. And yeah, so I mean, and kind of even the other one that I was looking at was Danny Cruz. Danny Cruz took over at 31 years old, I believe it was, with like maybe 2.5 years of experience. So it's kind of, my point in doing some of that was just to say that maybe Rob's not the guy, but it can't be because he's too young, and it can't be because he doesn't have enough experience, because the league has proven that those guys can do well. And getting to work with him on an everyday basis at the end of last season, I got to see, watch him work and work with him. And I think it's, I'm really excited about what he can do for the organization.
Yeah. So one of the things, I've had some conversations with you. I've had some conversations with Rob. Obviously, winning the championship is a big deal when it comes to building the team going forward. And Rob has said a couple of things about how even in his time, and I'm sure you would echo this and go even further with your experience, that the way that players are recruited now versus 2 years ago, 8 years ago, is vastly different, and the ease at that. But could you speak a little bit about how how that works from your perspective, and how being the defending champs influences your ability to bring players in and recruit the players you want?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting observation from Rob, and I'd be interested to talk to him about that. We've not really had that conversation. but I think it's, I would probably agree and disagree. I think that there's so much video at our disposal, and we can watch it so efficiently where we can get through all of a player's clips from one game in about 10 minutes. And so that's a really efficient way to do it. You can also break it down and say, hey, let's just watch all this player's 1v1 defending. And then let me just watch 5 straight games of this individual's 1v1 defending. And then let me move to his aerial duels, and let me move to some different stuff. So, I don't think that capability existed. Maybe in the same, when I was at the Naval Academy, we had a program called Instat, which Y-Scout is now like the dominant program to do that kind of thing. They bought them out. So 10 years ago, that definitely existed. I don't know how long ago, you'd have to go back, but that's something that we did a ton of this year. Mm-hmm. I think that, as Rob and I have talked about, just the way that we have recruited in the past, or recruited is maybe the wrong word, but evaluated players, there's a lot of boxes that need to be checked. I think video is one. I think just their story is another one. That's something that we were always really big on previously. Like, who is this person? Let me talk to some people. Let me get to know them. Are they on an upward trajectory? Are they on a downward trajectory? You can kind of read between the lines in a lot of situations. That's something I think Bob was really, really good at. And so I think that remains largely the same, and just trying to understand who the individual is. And then maybe the other piece that would, I think there's others, but certainly statistics we've looked into a lot, probably more this offseason than we have in some others. And, we're still kind of figuring out the best ways to use that. I think the worst thing you can do with stats is let it lie to you. And so you might look at a player and rule them out because this doesn't look good. And it's like, well, is there merit to that? Does there need to be additional context given to that? But it's, it's about pattern recognition largely, I think, in some of that stuff. So let's go back and look at what Guy Vactor looked like in college in terms of his statistics, what Beto Idrich looked like, what Sean Suber looked like. So we can kind of like say, okay, this is where these guys were when they were in college. Where are these, new guys at, and how do they kind of shake out? So, that's a bit have been our process this offseason in evaluating players.
Yeah. I really appreciate that, like bringing up guys that have found success with the team and benchmarking players that you're looking at against those guys. That's really cool. Not something that I think maybe like seems obvious to us, but without articulating it, probably something that none of us were probably specifically thinking about as clearly. So, yeah.
But I think, right. So if I say like a player has, wins 70% of their duels, like, is that good? I don't know. But if Guy if that's where kind of Guy was at, or Beto was at, or Sean Suber, or you could go back to Arturo or some of these other guys, whether we have access to everybody dating back to, Thomas and Joe Greenspan and some of these good defenders that we've had, let's measure them. Or maybe we're even looking at players on other teams. We've looked at center back from Louisville who just came out. Is it Josh Jones? Like we looked at some of his stuff from University of Louisville. So just looking at guys that have had success in the league, whether it's with us or with them, and trying to give context to the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned Beto and Vactor. One of the things I wanted to ask you was we've noticed from the outside looking in that there seems to be a slight shift in how, you and sort of the club has been operating this offseason, in the sense that, first of all, you're the one that whenever there's a new player signing, it's like your name next to the quote. And the fact that we did sign Beto and Vactor basically went back after the option and gave them new deals, which is something we've kind of been talking about for a while now, is all really exciting. From your perspective, Rob mentioned it's almost like a war room, like you guys just getting together, brainstorm stuff. How has your approach and I guess we'll say to an extension, the club's approach, your perception of the club's approach to players changed since the end of last season?
Yeah, I think wanting to just make sure that we could go into the off season with controls, maybe the wrong word, but just a little more control over what's going on. And sometimes you got to pay for that a little bit. So, I mean, going into this off season, I think we'll only have 2 guys who are free agents. And so, yeah, I think that's, something that helps to build for the future. Obviously it's here, neither here nor there for this year, but that was one effort that I think we made this off season, and spoke with Tuffy about that, and very much on board. I think everything else, I don't know what's been so different. We still had our combine. That was still a big piece of the way that we recruit. We're still going to sign a bunch of guys that came into preseason. I still think we were, slow to sign some guys and making sure we saw them live and in person. We might have jumped a little bit earlier on some guys than we would have in the past. I think some of that was just watching an extraordinary amount of video, talking to, as many people as we could, and just really trying to achieve a comfort level with them. I think that if you think back to, let's go to 2018 or 2017, or, I started in 2016. There was no League One, USL League One. There was no MLS Next Pro. So USL Pro at that time was the lowest league. And so, now, given that there are 2 leagues lower than us, a player might just get a straight offer from one of those leagues because maybe the threshold for them is a little bit lower, and you can't necessarily bring them into preseason and watch them. And that's something that changed already last year. I mean, we signed Charles All and Brigham Larson pretty early after that combine, something that we've not always done. We've done that some, but that was knowing that in conversations with Bob that, like Brigham, you're not going to get a 6'5" guy that runs and has good feet, and he's not going to make it to preseason. Somebody's going to take a chance on him. So, I think probably being a little bit more aggressive with a few guys this offseason is something that's maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, that's great. So speaking of players getting signed this year, I think it was Bushy kind of said getting the deal done for Chico Albertiqua to kind of like a beautiful mind level. And so I think what he meant was kind of like that level of thinking, like in the movie, but we'll pretend that he's just talking about your mind. But kind of tell us like kind of what that looked like and how were you able to get that deal done and bring him back? And what are you looking forward to most with Chico back on the roster?
Yeah, it's funny that Bushy said that. I don't know if Bushy really understands it, if I'm honest with you. But, I don't think it wasn't anything too crazy, but I mean, obviously he was under contract with Rhode Island. And so when a player is a free agent, you're dealing with 2 parties. You're dealing with us and then that player and his agent. In this one, there was an extra party involved in Rhode Island. And so, it was something that we really wanted to do was get him back. And I think he wanted to be back. And so then it was just a bit of a conversation with, okay, what makes sense for Rhode Island as well. And getting to a place where, all 3 of us felt good about it. So I think one of the things that was within that was just this idea that he's on the 3rd year or, was, and I guess technically still is on the 3rd year of a 3-year deal that he had coming off of an MVP season. Like his value was at an all-time high coming after that 2023 season. And so, we were going to assume the last year of the contract. So, okay, that's fine. I think we were all, willing to do that. But what we didn't want to necessarily do was just do it for 1 year. So so instead, okay, let's look at what 2027 looks like and what 2028 looks like. And now we can kind of take any kind of stretch that we might make in this season and stretch it out over 3 years. And so now, that's essentially what we did. So it's not a one and done type of thing. That's something that, we've really stayed away from, was trying to, make sure that, and Bob always did that as well, but it's not just for 1 year. We're not going to just enter conversations again next year. It's going to be at least a 2 or 3 year situation.
Yeah, that's great. Listen, another year, another team. Last year, in addition to the Academy and the Hounds, you added helping with the Riveters to the plate. This year, we're adding a USL team or USL 2 team for you to juggle as well. What's been the biggest challenge in your role in sort of balancing all of these different groups this offseason?
Yeah, the first thing I'll say with the Riveters, I think I was a little involved early in the process last year, but I've got to give Scott Gibson so much credit for just building out those teams. I mean, that's his relationships with the college coaches, obviously having a really strong girls program on the academy side with, girls that came through our program and then went off to college and able to bring them back, I think was huge. Honestly, this offseason, aside from a couple conversations, he's driven that a ton. And some of that's maybe that I've been, it's kind of been triage a little bit since the season ended and trying to figure out a lot of things on the men's side. And so, I give Scott all the credit in the world for building out that team. And so, yeah, that's that one. And then in terms of the USL 2 team, certainly played a big part in launching that. And then, have had Josh Kramers has been running point for sure on kind of building that team out. I think he's done a really good job so far. As to what that looks like, I have been involved. I'm having a lot of conversations with college coaches about players for our first team, for our pro team, in terms of the graduating seniors. But then in all those conversations, it was also hey, we're also going to have a USL 2 team. Who might you have as an underclassman? And then I'd say on top of that, I'm like, Josh, if you ever have anybody you want me to call and just add some to the conversation, I'm happy to do that. So he would provide me with some guys' numbers and let me call them and also just make sure that they understand that this is a first team initiative. This is a real look for a pro contract when that time does come, and there will be opportunities to mix in with our first team. And so, I think the only way to do it is to have other people doing a really good job at their parts. So.
Is it clear to you how it'll work between USL 2 and the championship in terms of, can you have players move? Can you call guys up from the 2 team, or can you send guys from the pro team down to the 2 team if they need minutes or they're rehabbing or anything like that?
So the 2 team is really 2 leagues. So it's the USL Academy League, and then it's the USL League 2. So USL League 2 is the Riveters. It's the W League. So it runs for May through early July. And that's largely college players. Pros can't play in that league. The USL Academy League will actually we'll probably play games starting in April, and that will then run all the way through October. And so the pros can actually play in that league. So guys last year did play on that. Perrin Barnes played on that. Jorge Garcia, Jason Borgi. These guys can come in and play so long as there aren't college players on that team on the field at the same time. So, but in terms of I think what we think of as the 2 team, mostly it will be this USL 2 league that they're playing in, League 2. And so if we wanted to bring a player up from there, one, they would then forfeit their college eligibility. Although now that Orange County has moved a player from their team who's now going back to High Point. I don't understand it. I think college athletics is in a state of, transition, I'll say. But we won't be able to just call somebody up, super directly. I think if there's a player there that's doing well, I think, there's a possibility we could sign them to a 25-day contract or sign them for real or, different things like that. And so I think those things are an option, but I look at the most straightforward way to use that program as a feeder program into the first team will be when they graduate college. We'll have known them for a summer, potentially a couple summers, and then we're able to sign them.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's a lot of good information. I think that is, from our perspective, hard to make out kind of how all those rules and interactions work. So really appreciate that. I mean, obviously we're all focused on this coming season, 2026, seeing what can happen in 2026. Hopefully, can you just because I noticed it, you're wearing some of the new swag. It's got the logo. It's got the star. Can you flash that for us? That's
It's
awesome.
a little more
Love
subtle,
it.
like
Love
travel
it.
piece. A little more subtle travel piece, but the Hummel stuff's been nice. I've really liked it.
Yeah. No, I noticed it, and it's like it's one thing to see it on graphics and emails. It's completely different to see it on gear that you guys are wearing. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, so I mean, the focus on this year obviously is really strong. But we know the team has talked quite a bit about the goals of joining the USL Premier when that gets started in a couple of years. I mean, that's really only 2 seasons away. So can you talk about kind of your perspective on what it would look like for the team to make the jump to Division One, and kind of what you're doing now to prepare for that possibility or eventuality?
Yeah, we certainly talk about it. Probably less on the, I'll just say like team side, meaning myself and Rob and Bushy and those guys. We talk about it a little bit less. I definitely talk with Jeff about it in terms of just, maybe a little bit longer term thinking about some different things. And there's a lot of just kind of requirements, I'll say, that need to be in place, whether that's some additional hires or some things like that need to be a part of being a Division One team. So we're definitely looking ahead to that. I don't know that we are. It's probably more like in the back of our minds than at the forefront of our minds, like in this moment. But I do think, that the wheels are certainly in motion. The stadium is obviously a really big part of it. That's something that's, has Tuffy's full attention and something that I'm glad he's on board, with it, because I'm not sure I could figure that out. But that's what he's good at. So, it's a big building project that will involve raising capital and all kinds of stuff. So, like I said, he's heavy involved in that, and I'll add whatever I can to it. But it's the building piece of it, the new stadium expansion is not something that I'm like focused on an everyday basis.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier, kind of talking about signing players, and you don't really want to do one and done. I mean, we're getting to that point where you are going to be thinking about contracts for guys through 2028. Is that going through your mind at all, where you're like, could this guy be a Division One player, or is it just, we'll see where it falls, we want to keep this guy for at least a few years and we'll go from there?
Yeah, I think we only have 4 players that extend beyond 27 with options. And truthfully, I don't know what happens to those contracts if you're a part of a new league. Does the contract remain? I just don't know. So it's I wouldn't say that I've not given any thought to it, but at the same time, it's not been a huge piece of all those contracts as well are options for the 2028 season. We don't have anybody at this point guaranteed through there. So I'll probably need to do some more digging and ask some more questions heading into, next offseason, because we do start to get into guaranteed contracts for 2028 shortly. But yeah, it's exciting. It's interesting. It'll be, I'm sure, more problems to solve. But yeah, I think it's a cool thing that we get to be a part of.
Yeah.
So I got one more question, since you're talking a little bit about contracts and whatnot. I mean, last offseason, this offseason, we've seen a lot more contracts that are 2-year team control contracts, or even like the renegotiation with Beto and Guy. And so can you kind of talk about kind of how the decision started to change in terms of going from the historical USL 1-to-1 contract to some of these longer contracts, especially more recently for the Hounds?
Yeah, I mean, really, most of them are still 1+1s. I think that's still kind of our default. I think the only ones that are 2+1 are Danny Griffin, Robbie Mertz, Albert Dikwa, and Brad Sample. And so, I think those guys have been around us long enough. Brad, the least of those guys, and obviously Dikwa went away. But I think in terms of just understanding who they are, those are relatively easy decisions. There's some others. There's nobody coming in new that has 2 years guaranteed. You could fact check me on that, but I don't believe so. So, everybody, it's still kind of a 1+1. I think you are seeing that across the USL is a little more standard. Some guys getting some 3-year guaranteed contracts is starting to happen now. So, it's just one of those things where if they can get it in one place and it's something that they're after, they may ask for it and push for it. And then you just need to decide, is that something that we want to do or willing to do to kind of compete with the other clubs? So it's, the contracts aren't always just like a bottom line salary number. There's other things that are mixed in there as well. And one of those is the length of the contract.
Yeah.
Dan, we could talk to you all night, but we want to be respectful of your time. We always appreciate you being willing to jump on and talk so candidly with us. Congrats again. We've literally been thrilled by everything coming out of your office this offseason. You guys are crushing it. Just keep going. Here's hoping for another successful year and more great things to come. So thank you again for joining us.
Yep, anytime.
Awesome. Thank you,
See you,
Dan.
Dan.
We'll
all right, see you guys. Yep.
Bye. Can I just say for a split second, I don't want to take for granted the fact that we support a club that is so willing to not only give us access to people like Rob Vincent, Dan Visser, we've had Tuffy on this show, but the fact that they're willing to come on, they genuinely seem to enjoy talking with us and sharing information in ways that most clubs keep behind lock and key, and nobody ever gets to see that. So again, a massive thanks to Dan. Dan is fantastic. We talked to him for a few minutes before he even came on, and just shooting the breeze. We are very, very fortunate, and Dan's one of the best. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know, Mike, we'll get into the particulars of the on the field stuff from Friday's preseason game.
Yeah.
But I had said to you all on our chat afterwards that it's just it's so much fun talking to Dan, Rob, Adam, Bushy when I'm in those environments, because it's just you go and it's a conversation with them, and it's fantastic because they're not looking at you as someone that they just have to check off and get through it, right? They want to have a conversation. They want to know us. And that's to your point. I think that they enjoy the job that they do, that they're good at, but they enjoy the connections that they have with us as the fans, and us on the podcast, right? They have fun with it too. And that makes it more fun for us.
Yeah. It hit me when Visser said that he's been with the team since 2016. We started this show in 2015. So literally we've been
around doing this for a while.
We've been doing this for a while. I have so many gray hairs now that partially because of this team, partially of my own making, probably more of my own making.
It's just that we're getting old.
But I mean, again, to kind of see these guys through the progression, see Dan go from being an assistant coach under Dave Brandt to just a few years ago, like you said, become the sporting director to, at that point, the primary focus was really kind of on the academy. We'd had conversations to where he is now. It just feels like a very organic way to grow the organization. And long may it continue, man. I mean, we're all kind of assuming it's going to be a great year. We'll have this conversation again in 6 months and see where we are. But no, just really,
we'll have this conversation a few times with Rob before then. So
exactly,
right? That's the thing. These guys want to be coming and talking to us regularly. It is a lot of fun.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah. So massive thanks to Dan. Let us know what you thought. Let us know, if there was anything that he said that kind of struck you, Steve. Was there anything that he mentioned that kind of stuck in your ear a little bit that you weren't expecting?
I just want to, for Rob's sake, that the question I asked about recruiting and whatnot was much more about what Dan later talked about in terms of the competition for players from MLS Next Pro and League One, that he was just saying he's noticed it in 2 years. So I'm sure Dan has noticed it even more so in 10 years of how you're in competition for these players with other teams more. So it was not that they couldn't find the players as much. So for Rob and Dan, maybe there's nothing to talk about because you both said the same thing. I just maybe asked a bad question.
It's like you lit a spark and just drop it in the room, and now Dan's gonna go in tomorrow and be like, "Hey, Rob, what do you?"
Hey, I'm just setting the record straight. Don't come back at me, Rob. I love you, man.
There was a couple other bits of news that I wanted to make sure that you and I hung around and just discussed quickly, because otherwise we're going to get behind the 8 ball and it just keeps rolling. Kit reveal at the Roxy Theater on Thursday, February 26th. Doors open at 5 p.m. Event starts at 6, but you need to RSVP to attend. You made the comment that the fact that it's being held at the Roxy could be a tip-off maybe to what the design will look like. We confirmed that it's not going to be stripes.
No, I didn't say it's a tip-off. I said
it could be
because it's the Roxy and that's where I go for punk shows. If it is punk anything, I know there are a lot of us that are there for that. Do I expect that? No. But do I hope that? Oh, my bleeding heart.
Listen, I mean, look, nobody has told us anything. We know nothing other than we know that Hummel is the sponsor. If you go and look at some of the kits that Hummel has put together, they do a decent job of really kind of tapping into the psyche of an area. And, I think Justin mentioned the Portland Hearts of Pine kit, the main kit that came out this year. You look at a lot of the stuff that they do across Europe. They have some fun with stuff. So it will be very interesting to see what they come up with.
And to be clear, like I could see it. I don't expect it, but because Pittsburgh has a great history of punk and underground punk music. I don't know if you're gonna be there.
I really, I need to figure out how to get there.
I don't mean that, but I mean like Josh, Liz, and I will all be at the Roxy.
Yeah.
Listening to a punk show on Tuesday night. And I'm sure there are other Steel Army members that I could think of that will be there as well, because they're usually at those same shows. So that's just like, that's why it sticks out to me. So no, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the 26th. I can't wait to see what they have in store. And I think about a couple seasons ago when the team went with Charlie and they had the kit reveal down at Heinz History. Yeah. And just kind of how much fun it was to go to an event like that where they did something special for it rather than it just being the players walking out and then Bob talking about the players and talking about the players while they're wearing the kits, standing up there awkwardly because they're like, well, we've got to show off the kits and Bob is introducing us, right? Like doing something different for the kit reveal and the meet and greet with the team for season ticket members, I think is a really great thing that I love with the change of manufacturer.
Agreed. So if you were interested in going, like I said, you do have to RSVP for that event. So go to riverhounds.com. I think there might still be something on the homepage that you click it and then you provide your information and you're good to go. So, I need to figure out a way to get there. I know it's not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. But I'll
send you some Google Maps directions.
That's not what I meant, Steve. I want to bring my camera. I want to get some good shots. I want to get a new kit so that I can hang it here. Mm-hmm. I found my Mongols kit from I don't know what year it was that we made those. I found it in my attic this weekend, and I almost wore it today, but I hung it behind.
I think that was 2020, wasn't it? Because we did those for 5 years.
Oh, then maybe it was. Yeah, maybe it was 2020.
And I was like right at the border, and I was like, medium or large. No, I can still fit in some mediums, and I got a medium, and I could wear it for like 2 months, and then I got fat.
Yeah, man.
COVID hit, and that screwed me.
Getting old.
I've been able to fit it. It's hanging up over in the corner, but
getting old. One of the other things that the team announced in addition to the kit reveal is they announced their promotional schedule, which I'm going to flash up on the screen now. Mm-hmm. There is a ton going on here and a lot of new stuff that we have not seen before. Mm-hmm. I think the big one is on October 24th. It's a fireworks frenzy, but they're also giving away Pittsburgh parking chairs. So the team put out a thing on social media, a picture of it. It's just like a fold-up chair that you would take to, any kind of sporting event. But the fact that they're calling it specifically parking chairs is amazing. But there is a lot here that is based around the championship, which is great. So the home opener, they're giving away a replica banner. They are giving away a replica championship ring giveaway on May 2nd. They are doing a pups at the pitch, which we've been saying we would love to see forever.
Mm-hmm.
What on this list really jumps out at you, Steve, that you're most looking forward to?
I mean, pups on the pitch, I think, has to be a lot of fun, right? I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be all sorts of things like restrictions on where in the park and whatnot that you can go. But I mean, it's like, like I'll probably bring Rory if I can swing it. Like he'd have a blast. I mean, like, why not, right? But I just think it's like, I mean, we've seen the Pirates do this season after season after season. We are the Riverhounds. Now we will have pups at the pitch. So that's great. Really hope the new Ammo bobblehead is awesome. We've gotten them in the past, but we know that Ammo's getting a little bit of a laundered upgrade by getting a new suit that should be cleaner and nicer. And so everything I've heard is that it is the same mascot, but it's a new suit, right? So are there differences? Does he look a little different? Does this reflect that? I don't know. I just think that I mean, most of the home games are on this list, right? So there's something every game that is being advertised. I think that was my big takeaway, was just seeing this and be like, oh, dang, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And they're not all big things, right? Like there's a number of dollar beer nights, but it's just like that they're doing things regularly to make the environment more fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm legitimately excited. I don't want to minimize any of these. I think all of these are great. Mm-hmm. Two that really jumped out at me, the Hype Train collectible giveaway, which up to this point, I think we've all kind of acknowledged the trains, but is the Hype Train going to become a thing this season?
I have so many questions about what the giveaway is. Right. So I'm just waiting and seeing, because I feel like when it gets closer, they're going to tease something. It's going to be like, oh, that's something that I actually do want, because I am not like a collectibles person, right? Like Josh and I think are on opposite ends of the spectrum with that. And I love it when people get excited about it. But for me, it's like, I don't know where I'll put this. Right. But if it's cool enough, then I'm in.
Yeah. The other thing that just piqued my interest was the July 25th against Rhode Island game. They're doing the Odyssey night to tie in with the movie, the Christopher Nolan movie. So what is that going to look like? Is that just a video that they put up at halftime? Maybe the guys wearing armor or something. I don't know. But
I mean, if the guys don't do walkout in Odyssey themed helmets, we're missing an opportunity.
I mean, but this is not the first movie tie-in, right? They're also going to have an Austin Powers night on May 2nd. So,
yeah, baby.
Yeah. So there is a lot here. Like I said, the schedule is out now. Everyone can go check it out. There is a lot. I think in past years, there's always been one or two things where, the Golden Glove it's you got to do that. There's at least 3, maybe 4 things on this list that I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to be part of that. That would be a good time. And that's a cool, not even just a giveaway, just the spirit of the night. And look, we are diehard. We're going to show up when it's, preseason, raining, nasty, just because we want to watch the team. We don't need this stuff. It's just.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember which date it was, but the Peanuts night, give me something fun where you're redoing the Charlie Brown kicking the football with a soccer ball at halftime, right? Like it's going to happen, right? It's going to be great.
I'm having flashbacks to when me and my son were recruited to do the halftime thing. I don't want to be part of that one. No, thank you. I'm going to have to pass. So yeah, a lot of good stuff there. Moving on, Steve, just the other day, the Hounds beat Loudoun 2-1 in another preseason friendly. Trevor Amon got the goal. The other was an own goal. You were there. You went and talked to the coaches afterwards. You got to see the players. What did you see?
I mean, it was not the cleanest we've seen. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. It's been a long time since a Hounds team has given up a goal. Right. I mean, we're talking what was that? The second to last game of the
Yeah.
season, the Monterey Bay game, right? Like that's the last time we've seen a ball go in against them. So it kind of was, I think, a little bit of complacency at times. But I did talk to Rob afterwards, and Rob said one of the things, like he was glad to see that the guys found a way to get that second goal back. And I don't think Rob knew it. I didn't know it. I don't think anybody that was there watching knew that that was an own goal in the moment, because Dikwa and Larson were right there making the run. Dikwa sticks his foot out, just misses it. Larson sticks his foot out, and it goes in the back of the net. The defender must have put his foot out too, and their legs were together. So I read that and I was like, own goal? No way. That was Larson, right? I mean, he was there. He was instrumental in that goal being scored, right? So it's not like it was just a bad deflection, right? Like it was attacking players, attacking the ball, trying to put it in the back of the net. And when that's an own goal in a situation like that, that's really different for me. It's like you're forcing that own goal.
Right.
And so I think that's a really good thing. But I also say that to say that in both the preseason games I've been to, so many more numbers in the box or crashing the box at times, and so much more progressive play. But one of the things that Rob did say is he recognized that in both halves in this game, they didn't put out the strongest lineup they could have in either half, because they're trying to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses and which players they may still be signing from the guys that are in camp. And so I think that's part of it as well, that sure, it was 2-1 against Loudoun, but we saw how good Loudoun did last year.
Yeah. Loudoun was legit.
They're not a pushover, right? We're not talking about a team that finished outside of the playoff picture last year or a League One team. We're talking about a team that has taken great strides. They're not the Loudoun of old. And so to see that, I think it was good to see them find a way to get the win after having it and giving up a goal. I don't know. I mean, one of my favorite things about it was one of the players, or the player that scored for Loudoun, I forget his name, went over to Nico after the game and was like, he's like, oh, wait, you weren't in. Because it was like 4 minutes after the half. And they put in one of the trialists. And he's like, I didn't realize till afterwards, but I thought I scored that on you and I didn't. And so it's like, what I take away from that is that's like players in the league see that the Hounds signed Nico, and they're hungry to say, no, he's good and this is a good team. And so it's like, if I can score on Nico as a Hound, I'm feeling good about myself, right? So I think there's those types of things that I take away from it. I think the other thing is just seeing the players together, seeing the options, I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago, right? Just how many different options it looks like this team is going to have strategically, tactically, as they look to make substitutions, that Rob has options on the bench that are different than the players that are starting the games. And I'm having conversations with people and they're like, well, but where is so-and-so going to play? Where's so-and-so going to play? Right. And it's like, that's the question we've been asking for years. Like, why do we not have the question of why is every single one of our starting 11 pretty much penciled in as a guarantee? I don't know who will be the Iron Man of this season, if there will be one, right? I mean, a couple years ago, it was Danny Griffin. Last year, it was Sean Suber. Will we have someone that starts 30 regular season games and goes the full 90? I don't think we will.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. And it's not because of injuries, right? Like that's because tactically and the quality of the players on the roster is so much stronger that you're going to have options and you're going to put different players in. I don't know where some of these midfielders are going to play. Elliot Goldthorpe looks really good. Yeah. Where do we fit him in if we've got Sample, Walty, Griffin, Mertz, and all vying for time in the midfield? And now you add in a guy that with the quality that Goldthorpe has, you can't fit all 6 of those guys on the field at once.
Yeah.
Listen,
to your point, when you look at other teams and other leagues, one of the things that really starts to cement a team as kind of a legacy team is having the ability to have depth like that, so that you can go longer in a season without players getting burned out. You can compete in additional competitions like the Open Cup or like the USL Cup, where now you can go deeper because you have guys that are fresher and that you can actually put some emphasis on those other competitions. We've won some hardware. Now we just want to keep winning hardware. So to be able to have a roster where you literally have guys fighting for spots like this day in and day out, and to be able to give them an opportunity to prove themselves is only going to better the system. So no, it's all super exciting. I will ask you, you just said Brigham Larson and Chico on the field at the same time. You've been to a few preseason games. Is this like, if you were a betting man on day one, do you think we're going to see two forwards?
I mean, each time Chico has been on the field, there's been at least another player, if not playing as a straight forward, as a player interchanging from a wing position into a forward position. And so, I mean, throughout the 180 minutes that I've watched the team in preseason, I've seen a lot of tactical flexibility. I've seen times where it kind of looked, even in that first half, on Friday, that it looked pretty similar overall to what we saw most of last year, with 3 center backs and 2 wing backs. The big difference was both wing backs had the freedom to go forward. But in the first game, rarely did I see something like that, right? Like, it was a true 3 at the back with 2 outside midfielders that had some defensive responsibilities, but were not staying back as much. So, see that there were times where it was 4 at the back. And so I don't know what we will specifically see, but Rob talked about this a couple of weeks ago, right? That, like, they're trying to build things where they have the ability to go 3 at the back, to go 4 at the back, and to do some different things. But I think when you've got Amon, Larson, and Chico on this roster, and then you've got players like All and Goldthorpe and Robbie Mertz, that are all able to play in those attacking outside positions on the field or right behind a forward or 2. Like, you've got a lot of attacking options, and I think we're going to see a lot of different things happen up front. So I don't know the answer to your question. I just know that I'm excited to see where this leads us and what options happen and how it happens throughout the season.
Yeah. No, super exciting.
The other player I want to say, I mean, the Hounds summary of it talked a little bit about him, but we didn't see him much at the end of last season. But Jorge Garcia, getting in there, I'll say he looks like he's put on a little bit of muscle mass. He does not look as just like pencil thin as he did last year. He looked stronger, and it looked like he was playing a little bit stronger, trying to keep some defenders off his back and running quick and unleashing a couple shots that were fun. So do I think he is a guy that at the start of the season will be competing for a starting position? No. But do I think he adds something to this team in a way that's exciting? Yeah, right. Another attacking guy, right? It's fun to watch these guys.
I mean, look, last season he was bringing wonder goals anytime he stepped on the field. The issue was that he just wasn't on the field a ton.
Yeah.
And so, there had to be a reason why he was a guy, he was on as Dan was talking about, he was on a 1 year plus an option. We picked up his option. So, like, you're not going to pick up your option just to have you sit on the bench. So they see something in him, and, hopefully he does continue to develop and progress. And we could see some more wonder goals from this season.
Yeah.
So,
and he can score them. I mean, his shot that was like the really good one. I mean, it was like, it pinged off the keeper. The keeper had no chance of collecting the ball. It was a rocket.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Every passing week, I get more and more excited about this team.
I'm so excited about this season.
I mean, look, that's what preseason is about. I know in the past we've had preseasons where there wasn't a lot of news and they're like, what's going to happen? And again, we've said on previous episodes as well, you can't put too much stock in these preseason games, but there is an eye test component to this where you're seeing players, you're seeing how things are developing, and everything that we have seen and or heard has been positive. So long may it continue.
Well, yeah, and there's two things on that, right? Rob talked about it a couple of weeks ago about they're looking at, are they doing the things that lead to success, even if they don't get the exact result? And I think we've gotten the results in the preseason games, but in 2/3 of it, I'm seeing the things that make me think that those results are legitimate. And then the other thing is, I don't think this preseason is starting slow. My expectation is that we're going to go into the season hitting the ground running. Everybody, I don't think we're going to be seeing players come into this team 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks into the season. I think that they know who they want and they're working on those things. I expect to be getting as many announcements as they can get before the end of preseason. If we don't get the whole team announced before the end of preseason, I don't think that that's a Hounds thing. I think that's a approvals and visas and getting the paperwork process, but not a decision-making thing.
I mean, just like full disclosure, you've had conversations where they kind of know the guys, and it sounds like the paperwork's just in the process. So this isn't like,
and the conversation. The guys may not know yet.
Right. But it is something where they're not necessarily saying we need 3 more guys at this spot. Let's bring in some more guys into the preseason. They feel pretty good with what they have, and we can go from there.
Yeah, so. I don't know who they are. I know that there are more signings that are close to being announced, and a lot more signings that are being worked through.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, as many as there can be with the roster space we have left.
Agreed. Look, I mean, the season is literally almost here. In terms of the remaining preseason games, we have Duquesne this Wednesday, followed by Lexington this upcoming Saturday at Highmark. And then we have that crazy week the following week where we'll have the jersey reveal on Thursday. Then we will have Friday will be against West Virginia at Highmark. And then Saturday will be at Pitt at Ambrose. So that is going to be an insane weekend. And then the following week we start. That's it. We're here. The season's here.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. One little other bit of news that is like kind of news, but like I feel like it may be bigger news than what the team is letting on. The team put out on social media that Charles All is going to be wearing the number 10 this year. Am I reading too much into this?
No. I mean, I think Charles is expected to be a integral piece, and he's going to be in the top 75% of minute getters this season.
Okay.
Like, let me put it this way: if Charles is not getting time, it's because somebody else that was not with the team last year has done so well that they are keeping him on the bench. He has looked really good in the 2 preseason games that I've seen, as he did last season. And I think the other big thing is it's like, we also know that there are going to be times where players are going to have injuries, and let's say Mertz, it gets a knock and needs to sit out for a couple weeks. All is the go-to guy at this stage, like in my mind, right? Like he's going to be the guy that is a direct replacement in that position, and somebody else will drift out a little wider in the positions that he tends to play at times. So I just think there's those options, and I think he's a quality player that is going to get a lot of minutes.
Yeah. No, I don't necessarily question giving him the 10. I just think that for those who don't know, giving a player a number 10 or a number 9 within other teams is often a sign of pretty substantial confidence. Like players often vie for those numbers in particular. Number 10 is typically your playmaker. And so it is a big deal if a player suddenly switches from a number to a number 10, because it almost feels like that has to be like approved in some way. Like you don't just be like, hey, it's a random number. Like number 10 is a big deal. And
I'll just note that the Hounds players in particular have tended to get their numbers and stick with them for a long time. And so it's like, you've got some guys like Mertz and Griffin who on a lot of teams could easily make the claim for that number 10 and have chosen not to.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And it also just makes me wonder, one thing we didn't really get, we kind of talked to Viss about it a little bit, is this idea of almost succession planning. This is a much bigger deal in Europe where you are signing much longer term contracts and you're trying to figure out, okay, maybe you have a bit of an aging team and you need to start introducing some youth. Both Danny and Robbie are going to be pushing 30 at the end of their contract. And at a certain point in time, you have to start thinking about what does this team look like without those guys? And we saw some good things from Charles all last year. If he continues to progress, he could be the next Danny Griffin. He could be the next Robbie Mertz. Who knows? But it could be some just sort of setting a table and thinking a little bit further ahead and kind of seeing.
And we saw that happen with Danny over time, taking over some roles, and then taking the captaincy, which was the Kenny Forbes role for years and years and years under Bob Lilly. So kind of seeing that, like there's a player that if he sticks around and continues to perform, could be the next big name for Hound soccer.
Yeah, and don't misconstrue this. This is not me pushing Danny or Robbie out the door. Right. Like we're huge fans of both of the guys, just like we wouldn't push Kenny out the door. Like this is just thinking, all just got out of college last year. Last year was his first season as a pro. So he still has some years under his belt. More so than, Robbie or Danny, but if they can keep kicking it, then let's let them keep kicking it. So Steve, I think that's all of the news. Is there anything else that you want to discuss on this one?
I mean, I just want to keep talking about soccer, but I don't know what else specifically. I want to talk about the Hounds, right? Like,
I know.
I guess all that to say, right? Like, it's fun. Those moments of joy, of like getting Dan to show off the shirt, right? Like those are the things that. Seeing the players coming in, watching the team, seeing the environment, talking to Dan, to Rob, to Adam, to Bushy, to the players, is making this offseason a lot of fun. And kind of two things with that, right? Like there's the, hey, like, yeah, we just did that and we're going to do that again. And then some players that are like, well, we didn't do that and we want to do that with this team, right? Like, it makes the environment being around the team and interacting with the team a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun season.
It is. I'll see you on the 26th.
Listen, man. Yes.
Committed till
I really, really want to. I got to figure out how to make it work. Okay. All right. We're going to go before I say anything else. Thank you again to Dan Visser for joining us. Steve, as you just mentioned, I always enjoy having the conversation with you and anybody else that jumps on. So thank you. Thank you, everybody who watched, listened to this. Do leave comments. You can reach us at mongols3@gmail.com if you have any questions or comments. We did mention that we are going to try to do, if not monthly, every other month, a show with Rob Vincent per his request. So if you do have questions for him, you can email them to mongols3@gmail.com. If you want to record a video yourself or just an audio, you can send that to us as well. We'll play them for Rob. This is going to be a fun year. So
it is.
Thank you again, everybody. We really appreciate it. We will be back with more Hounds and Riveters stuff for you very, very soon.
See ya.